The Catholics of Oz is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to episode 59 of The Catholics of Oz. The Catholics of Oz is a show where we discuss faith, culture, and what's been happening from an Aussie perspective. Whether it's synods or science, apostolates and apps, providence or productivity, you can hear it right now on The Catholics of Oz. Hello, I'm Lindsay Sands, and welcome to episode 59 of The Catholics of Oz. Very happy to have you all with us for another episode. I am joined by my lovely first vaccination shot sister, Caroline Knight. Caroline, how are you, and how are you feeling?
I'm well, thank you. My arm's still a little sore, but yes, I'm doing well, thank you.
You're one of the lucky ones among us who have managed to get a vaccine shot, so we're hoping we can get that all sorted out soon for the rest of us. Yes, good work. And that having an American vaccine is probably really appropriate for this show, and we'll talk about why in a moment. But Lino Sabol, you're with us as well. How are you going, Lino?
I'm doing very well, guys. I still haven't got my vaccination yet, but I will very, very soon. Very soon we will get it.
Excellent. And I'm currently too young, and they don't have the right one for me at the moment. So yeah, feel sorry for me.
39 and a half, man. You're almost there, dude. You're almost there.
Almost there. And we are very excited. We've procured a time machine. We've reached back about 10 hours into the past, all the way to Boston, Massachusetts, where I have to say, not like Victoria, the lights haven't gone out like they have here for us during this week. Dom Bettinelli, he is the CEO of the StarQuest network. Dom, how are you today?
I am wonderful and fully vaccinated. I've been fully vaccinated for a while. I'm sorry to say that with your American vaccines, you're all going to lose your wonderful accents and start talking like me. And I'm sorry. It's just inevitable.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we'll get right in, won't we?
Oh, we definitely will, guys. We definitely will.
Yeah, I'm not even trying to do an American accent. I might insult quite a few people.
Yeah. It's got to be better than my Australian accent, that's for sure.
So for today, this episode is it's another State of the Network podcast, and we're going to be talking about how StarQuest is going. Dom is going to give us lots of updates, and we'll talk about all the different shows and the growing number of shows that are on StarQuest playlists, and we'll be very excited to talk about that. Before we do, we'd just like to remind everyone, please, to if you see any posts about the Catholics of Oz on StarQuest's Facebook page, please share them round with everyone else and comment on them and tell them how wonderful the show is. You can find StarQuest's Facebook page at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Also on Twitter, where you can find us at SQPN. And if you are new to listening to the show, welcome first of all. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast player. SQPN also hosts all of Catholics of Oz and all of its shows on YouTube. You can subscribe there, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications when new episodes are released. And please, a lovely 5-star review with a great comment helps us to get noticed by more people, and that's what we're all about. So, Dom, as our special guest, we're going to be quizzing you and grilling you on all the different shows, and hopefully we've got all of them listed here because the number of shows is growing. But I wanted to start first of all by talking about a brand new show, one that's excited me. It's called The Secrets of Stargate. How did this come about? Well, this feels like this was a user, a listener requested one. How did this come about?
So for ages, a lot of us at StarQuest are Stargate fans. I mean, we have been for ages. And I do Secrets of Star Trek and Secrets of Doctor Who with Father Corey Stika and Jimmy Aiken. And all three of us are Stargate fans. And we've wanted to do Secrets of Stargate, but we have too many shows already. We couldn't fit another one in, although Father Corey seems to have managed. So we wanted to do something else, but we just kept getting put on the back burner. And then a few months ago, we started getting requests from listeners, oh, you guys should add Stargate. Oh, we love Stargate. And I would say back, I love Stargate too. We've got to find a way to do it. And then a few people stepped forward. Jack Barazzini, who is brand new to Stargate. He's watching it for the first time, which is awesome. Yep. That's like me with the classic Doctor Who. I'm seeing all that for the first time. So he's hosting the show, and then we had Victor Lamb step up, and this is his first time behind the microphone with us. He's been editing some of our shows for a long time, and then we've got Lisa Jones, whose whole family, her husband, her kids, they are Stargate fanatics, which is awesome.
Oh,
and
wow.
and Father Corey, who has a unique perspective because he's a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, but before he was father, he was airman and served in the U.S. Air Force. So he has perspective from inside the Air Force. So they got together, started producing it, and we released that in May, and it's been going great. They got to get a little, over a little the early jitters, the early technical hurdles and that sort of stuff, but the conversations are great. And I have to tell you, Victor is awesome because he's a musician and comes up with parody music that he's been putting together with the theme of each episode and stuff. It's fantastic. And there's so much Stargate, there's something like 18, 20 seasons altogether between the three shows.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be going for a long time to come. So it's a lot of fun. And I think at some point or another, you're going to hear me and Jimmy. We're going to jump in on our favorite episodes. We're going to just push our way into the panel and be part of it.
That's excellent. And from the rumors I've been hearing, it's possible that we might see some new Stargate content in the future, which would be great as well.
Yes, with the purchase of Discovery and bought Warner Media, which owns the rights to Stargate, and they also own HBO and a bunch of other stuff. It's a huge conglomerate of TV now. It's one of all of these big streamers are looking for franchises: Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, all that sort of stuff. And Stargate has a built-in audience of fans who love it, and I think it's a big thing to build on. I'm really pushing them to make more Stargate. I was sad when Stargate Universe got canceled just as it was getting its legs under it. So let's more Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate Universe is interesting because it's very it was probably a little bit controversial when it came out because it was a lot more serious, very much tying into that Battlestar Galactica vibe, wasn't it?
Right.
And you're right though, but it started getting good, and then suddenly, hey, we're gonna pull the rug from under this one, and now no more Stargate.
Yeah, disappointing.
Yeah. It's the always the problem with sci-fi, isn't it?
Yes, Firefly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I still want them to bring back Firefly. I will forever want them to bring back Firefly.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Lino, you're a bit of a Stargate fan, aren't you? What are your memories of the Stargate series?
I think watching it while I was studying at times, because I think we're still in high school, Caroline, when that was.
Oh yeah. A while ago now.
So long ago. I think Dad used to record them on VHS. For the younger ones who don't remember that, VHS is a cassette that is about 20 centimeters long. So thick. And you used to just put it in there just before DVDs and everything came in. We're just watching it with my dad, because my dad was a very sci-fi. I would say fanatic, but he loved his sci-fi, like Dom, like you were saying, like Doctor Who, Star Trek, Stargate. He was okay. And like I was saying to the other guys, it happens here in Australia where a show does very well. They put in a good time slot for us around 7:30, 8 o'clock. But then as new shows come in, they buffer it to another time. So it goes later, 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And we just totally forget about it. And I only went up to like second or third season. And I just totally don't know where it went. And whenever Dad recorded it, he'll record another show. He just explode. He will just go, "Whoa, what is this? What is this show on this recording?" And it's not Stargate. It's something else.
Yeah, it gets bumped to another time slot. Yeah,
it gets bumped to another time slot, Dom. And I'm like, oh no. So, apologies. I only went up to season 3, but I heard of Atlantis. Yes. I only watched one season of that, and once again, it got buffed up later in the time slot. And like I think it was like us with America, Dom. It's like we have like 5 channels of one channel, so you got 7 plus 7 mate. That is so embarrassing. Anyway, 7. It is, yeah. So it changes on different channels, Dom, and you just forget where it is. So I apologize if I can't.
Well, now it's your chance. That's the great thing about these shows.
Yes, thank you.
What I've loved is listening to it has made me want to revisit this series as well, just like Secrets of Star Trek has done. That kind of revisiting the show. Yeah, Caroline, I think when it first came out, we were like, "Oh, look, MacGyver's got a new TV show."
Yes. Like MacGyver, and then he's like, "Oh, look, he's in space now."
Yeah.
Oh.
I think at one point in the series, Richard Dean Anderson has a line where he says he's going to MacGyver a solution.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's like mind bending.
Ooh.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
MacGyver exists in the Stargate universe.
That's so better.
Yeah, we used
Yeah.
to love watching it. We're similar
Yeah.
to Lino. Our dad got us into the sci-fi. He used to watch it, and then we got hooked. And yeah, we used to love watching it. But I haven't seen it in many years now, so I have to really catch up, I think.
Yeah. Well, Godspeed to the team at Secrets of Stargate. They're doing great, and I'm really enjoying listening to it and revisiting my love of the series. Even season 1, there were some great episodes, so great work with that. Now, another show that's just been launched is Let's Science, and there might be some people on this podcast who know a little bit about that. But this was a pitch that you'd made to us about having a show about science. So tell us about how that came about, Dom.
Well, one of the things I really enjoy about Catholics of Oz is the breadth of topics that you cover. Entertainment, faith, science, and I was trying to think of a way to expose more people to the great content, because there's might be people out there who are looking for content, but they see Catholic in the name and they say, "Well, that's not for me," and where they probably would enjoy it. And so I thought one of our missions with StarQuest is to help create content. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Create content that is an introduction for some people to Catholicism in a low barrier way. Say, hey, look, there is great things in the Catholic culture, and Catholics have not only been instrumental in scientific discovery and research, but we continue to be fascinated by science. We're not threatened by science. Faith and science go together. And so I thought, if we can create a science show from a Catholic perspective that doesn't, it's not about debating science against faith, I think that could be a way to introduce folks to more Catholic topics and bring people in to hear what the other things we have to talk about that aren't threatening and could be interesting. So I figured one way we could do this is to take that science segment and drop it in as its own content. So repurposing, reusing content, which makes it less work for you and for me, so that it became a no-brainer for me. Like, this is easy. I can, it takes a whole lot less time to take an already edited piece of audio and then just slap the intro and the outro on it. And the awesome theme music, Caroline, your husband's theme music, I love it. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, he really had fun making that. Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So, and then we could publish it like that. And I've been excited by it. And I think one of the things that could really benefit too is a lot of families, a lot of kids, I think, could benefit from listening to this, just like they have with some of our other shows, which we'll be talking about, where I hear from a lot of families, wow, I listened to this with my kids and they really enjoy it.
Yeah, excellent. And Caroline, this has been a baby of yours, like doing the science segment for such a long time. And, it's great that we've every now and then we'll record a show like this one where there is no science topic. So we'll record a bonus one that people haven't heard yet, which is great, and to get it out there. So one of the recent ones, Caroline, tardigrades in space, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, we really enjoyed that. I mean, I was going to talk about just that mission, but then I thought, let's focus in on, tardigrades, and we were talking about the little jellyfish that went up to space, because they were fascinating on their own, just as organisms on their own. And I thought, what, I would really like to learn more, and I would like to share that knowledge with other people as well, because they're just too fascinating. And so I couldn't help it. When I'm doing these topics, I often click through the other links and do a lot of research. So I just thought, I would like to take that angle with that episode instead, and I think it turned out okay.
It's great when you get a hook like that, a story to tell. And I love that aspect of it. And so that was fantastic. And I love the energy that you guys bring to both your shows. I think it speaks well of you, and it speaks well of the content that you have. So I'm really excited by that.
Yeah, and I think the fun and energy kind of says that we have no issue with faith and science going together. We're actually very comfortable with both, and how both can reveal truth and beauty and all of the above. Yeah,
I never. Sorry, I mean, I always had an interest in science, and to me, just being a Catholic, I was a Catholic who liked science, but I never really actually ever had to think about, should science go with Catholicism? I just always enjoyed science, so I feel like it's an easy thing, and I don't think we really need to debate about it at all. So yeah, it's just fun to share these topics with people because it's just so interesting. I can't help sharing them, So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and I think, Dom, if you ever watch the Skype recording of Lino and I listening to Caroline talk about science,
Oh my goodness.
eyes squinting, concentrating, making
Yeah, I was like, my eyes are like.
Yes. You actually have done that many times.
I'm trying to process it, Caroline. I'm listening to it and trying to understand what it is. So it's all good. It's all good.
I hope I make it easy enough to digest.
Yes.
I hope
Oh yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
it is
I
awesome.
think yeah, Lino and I are just glad that there isn't a test at the end because it feels a bit like high school science, doesn't it?
Well,
But,
I have many essays in my notebooks, and I think I could make up some tests from those now. So.
If it's multiple choice, I'll probably be okay. If I have to write it down what it means, I go, nah, I'm gone.
It's multiple choice, just pick C, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Always pick C.
Hardest pass rule. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about some shows that have achieved some milestones, Dom. So first of all, one of the biggest shows on the network is one that we're massive fans of is Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World.
Mm-hmm.
So you were telling me on our Slack channel that it is now number 15 on Apple Podcasts chart for documentaries.
Yes.
So first of all, congratulations. That's amazing. And it deserves that and much more. But
Yes.
what does that mean to you and to Jimmy and to the audience?
Well, for it's exciting to me for several reasons. So one of the things that it's more from a more inside baseball, behind the scenes sort of thing. When you look at the charts on Apple Podcasts and you look at all of the shows that sort of surround Mysterious World on the documentary chart, these are all big companies, big media conglomerates with huge budgets and big staff. And this is just SQPN. This is StarQuest. We're a very small operation here. We're hardworking and we go for quality all the time. But it is gratifying to see that, we can really get out there and get among a big audience and people are interested and they like to hear it. And it's gratifying because it feels like we're fulfilling our mission of reaching people. So that's really exciting. And I think for the audience, when they see that, it kind of validates their enjoyment in some ways. It's not just me and this weird, quirky little show that half a dozen other people listen to, like some of my shows that I do. But I mean, there's like maybe 8 people listening to like Raising the Vets. I don't know. No, it's more than that. I know what the numbers are. It's more than that. But we have a very large audience. I saw a stat that said that the average podcast per episode has 150 downloads. Whoa. All of our shows on our network are above that, including the brand new ones. Like right off the bat, Jimmy's The Mysterious World is several thousand times that.
Wow.
An average episode, I think we were having 30,000, somewhere in that range. Yeah, so we're reaching a very large audience, and it's great to see. And I see Father Mike Schmitz's Bible in a Year #1 on the Apple Podcast charts, and I'm excited by that. We're not rivals. We're not competitors. A rising tide lifts all boats, and I just love to see that out there. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a shared mission, isn't it, amongst all the different ministries and missions and apostolates that all exist. It's good to see others. We're all on the same team, aren't we? Doing this work that we do.
Yeah.
So now, very recently, so it was the episode, or the 2 episodes, I should say, with Paul Smith, talking about remote viewing and Ingress One. I had a brain fade a couple of episodes ago. I couldn't remember any of that, and today I can. However, this was a bit different because you also offered it in a video format on YouTube. So, do you want to say a bit more about that as well?
So Jimmy got connected with Paul Smith, and Paul, for those who don't know, Paul Smith worked in the U.S. Army. He was a major, and he got recruited to be part of something called, ironically, Project Stargate, which had nothing to do with space travel, but it was this program that back in the Cold War, we were trying everything we could imagine to get an advantage over the Soviets, and one of the things they wanted to try was remote viewing, or clairvoyance is another way, or ESP or Sixth Sense or that sort of stuff. And Paul Smith was one of the key psychic spies. I mean, that's what he was. He was a psychic spy. And Jimmy and I have talked about remote viewing in several episodes before that, and there is even a skeptic who's the head of the American Statistical Society, a guy who knows statistics, says I don't believe that there's remote viewing. He's still a skeptic, but there's a lot more evidence here for it than against it.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny that he's still a skeptic.
Yeah.
So Jimmy has been, because of his, the shows we've done on it and his fair approach to it, got kind of noticed and had gotten in touch with some of the people. And so Paul, had some conversations with and agreed to do a video interview with him. And that went really well. And we're looking to maybe do more of that in the future, have more video interviews. Jimmy felt comfortable doing it. And if we can get more folks in, not just with remote viewing, but other topics as well. We'll see how that goes. But so that was exciting. And I think in fact, Jimmy was telling me that it's given him more credibility in the remote viewing community and more connections with folks because of the fair way he's done it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, didn't he at some point receive some compliments from the family of Ingo Swann, I think, as well?
Yes. Yeah, the estate of Ingo Swann on Twitter responded favorably to the episodes we did on Ingo, and so it's really exciting to see how because the show has now a reputation, it's got a track record. People can look at it and say, okay, when Jimmy approaches a subject, he does so fairly, honestly, without bias, without trying to be sensationalist and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think I really appreciate that too, because it's one that I can share around with anyone and say, look, here's a fair approach to a topic that you may not think people would take seriously, but look at this guy just discussing it and taking it apart and talking about the pluses and the minuses and the faith perspective and the reason perspective. It's really helpful. Caroline, you were pretty excited by the remote viewing episodes. I remember we've had a few interesting chats about it.
So excited because I really love the Ingo Swann episodes. I found that whole topic so interesting. And when I saw that you were doing an interview with Paul Smith, I thought that is amazing. And I really enjoyed it. I just find that whole topic of remote viewing and exploring these senses just really interesting. It's like, getting a different perspective on that kind of thing. It's not something that we do every day, and to explore that topic, and it's always aligned to is it psychic, is it what are we actually doing here, what kind of talents or gifts or something that someone has are we using here? And I just find that whole exploration of that topic just so interesting, and I think I have to say they're my favorite episodes of the whole series. And
agreed. Yeah,
and I downloaded the Audible book too by Ingo Swann because I just loved it. I listened to it all, and I'm just totally hooked on that whole topic. And it's good because Mysterious World, we have the episodes and then we're able to go and explore further on our own afterwards and just explore those topics more. So I think it encourages listeners to to do that as well. So fantastic.
Yep. And we still follow news on the Somerton Man here. They've just
there's been news. Yeah,
that's right. Yep. There was another topic, Lino, that Jimmy and Tom handled very well balanced and fairly from a faith and reason perspective, and that was the topic of drop bears. So,
wow.
Yeah. What did you think of that one, Lino? Considering we all participated, what did you think of that one?
Oh wow! When you said the word drop bears, Dom, I went. Is he talking about? Well, I can say it now, can I? I can say
yes, you can say it.
I'm sure it's okay now. Yeah. Get ready, everyone. Get ready, everyone. Yeah, go on, Lino. I'll share it.
It's the koala. Poor thing. That's such a and I think it was when he said bears, and I thought we don't call them koala bears that much now. Well, I think what was the term? It was a mammal, Caroline. How was it?
Yeah.
Marsupials,
Marsupial, yeah. But
we're taught when we're kids, no, they are not bears. You're not called a bear.
If you want to be an Australian, you must not call them bears.
Yeah, that's right.
But the segment, Dobby, it was awesome. Thank you very much. We had an awesome time on it. My part was when I had to tell him about the situation in the forest, and I thought, It sounds like a horror movie. It was so poor koalas. They're not that bad.
My favorite bit was the reporter from the I think it was the BBC or ITV.
Yes.
The British reporter. I had seen that video a while ago, and I just loved it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and while I can't repeat the profanity in that video, that was probably well deserved. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Just for all the American listeners, there are enough creatures in Australia out here to come and kill us. So, you know, drop bears are not one of them. There's enough danger.
Well, that's what makes it so believable. It's like everything in Australia is trying to kill you. Why not the koala? I mean, come on.
I mean, they still do have sharp claws. If you hold a koala, you still do have to be careful.
That's right.
Everything is cute and fluffy, but they all have claws or teeth, so you just have to be careful.
I would say an angry wombat is probably more dangerous than a koala on any given day, isn't it?
I love wombats so much. They're so adorable. We do an episode on them.
Let's do it. Yeah, why not? One of the funniest things is watching two alpha kangaroos boxing each other because they literally look like they're boxing. It's actually quite funny to watch, but you wouldn't want to be there.
You don't want to be there.
They are really tall and really strong. You do not want to be anywhere near them. Yeah.
No.
All the wonderful things in our mysterious world.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Dom, congratulations on that milestone. That's amazing.
Thanks.
And just, you know, more power to you and Jimmy with that show. We're loving it. I know lots of other people are getting things out of it. And it really is there just fulfilling StarQuest's mission of being at the intersection of culture and faith. So it's really good. Another show that had a milestone is another one that you're on is Secrets of Technology, another great show.
Yes.
So you've hit 83 on Tech News on the Apple Podcast charts.
Yes.
So how do you feel about that?
I'd say if there's one category that has a lot of shows, it's got to be tech. I mean, it's just a natural thing for tech to have a lot of podcasts. And so to be in the top 100 of that, I mean, it's not Mysterious World's top 15, but it's still gratifying. And I think even more gratifying is how much response we get from the audience. We get feedback, we get questions, and it means that we're serving the audience, we're helping people, and they're engaged with it. And that's really great. I love to get that engagement with the audience. And at this point, a lot of our ideas are coming from the audience for the topics that we cover. We just did recorded this past week an episode on how do you handle, how have you prepared for your own death with your technology? That is a classic Catholic question. Memento mori. Think of your death. We prepare for the ultimate, end of things, and your tech is part of that. And so, how do we prepare for that? How do we prepare our survivors to take over the things that we're dealing with in our technology? And so that was I had a really good time researching it and talking about that with Pat. And it's that sort of thing. And we're gonna with stuff. Episodes we got coming up are on like how to set up your home network effectively and sorts of things. And we have such a diverse panel of folks from across the technology spectrum with Mac users, Windows users, Linux users, it's just across the board. It's a lot of fun. It's really great to have the wide ranging discussions we do.
Yeah, and I love that it's really a show for all users, isn't it? It's like you take into account different age groups, different levels of skill, all those things. And I think it's accessible to anyone. I love shows sometimes on the Twit network when I can hear them every now and then, but sometimes I have no idea what the heck they're talking about, but at least with Secrets of Technology, for anyone can jump in at any level. What I would like, and I was talking about this before the show, Dom, is if you could just tell us how to use Zoom properly so it stops freezing on us while we're trying to interview a guest.
Yes.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that the joke is Secrets of Tech is the show that has the most technical problems recording it. You don't see it in the end product, but we're constantly having problems with dropouts and it's because part of it is because all the people on the show are people that we push our computers to the limit, so they're always riding on the edge. So that's the thing. It's the. I was going to say about Secrets of Tech is the way we frame it is none of us are tech pundits. We're not journalists. We're not people in the know. We're not friends with a lot of tech shows. The people on them are the sorts of people who they buy a new phone every 6 months and they have new computers all the time. And for a lot of people, it's not really relatable. That's not me. I can't do that. I want to know how to use the stuff I've got and that I've had for a long time, keep it running.
Yeah.
That's our perspective is we're just like you. And so how do we keep this 4-year-old computer useful and, help our elderly mom use her phone and that sort of stuff to be much more practical in that sense.
Yeah, one thing that's happening here in Australia, especially in Victoria, because we've had the most COVID outbreaks and lockdowns, and it's like a cycle now. It's like, oh, look, another lockdown. Well, thankfully much shorter. We just came out of a very short one recently. But one thing that they've implemented is that every shop and place that you visit publicly has a QR code. You've got to get your phone out, scan it. And for a lot of people, especially elderly, they've been intimidated by this. It's been quite difficult for them to operate and things like that. Is there anything like this happening in your area? Are you required to scan QR codes wherever you go, or has Massachusetts got COVID a bit more under control than we have?
Well, we recently have come out of the restrictions. We are basically, if you're vaccinated, and in Massachusetts, my state, we are, I think, reached 70% adult population vaccination. So, we're vaccinating 12 to 17-year-olds, and so like my 2 oldest are vaccinated. So we are basically, if you're vaccinated, you can go wherever without mask, without restriction, which is great. But even when we were under restriction, we didn't have too many of those technology requirements for when we were going places. But one of the things I loved to have the technology was to have Apple Pay on my watch.
Yes.
Where I didn't have to touch anything. I didn't have to handle cash. I didn't have to, do anything like that. And it became, I noticed over the past year how many more people were accepting Apple Pay and were using Apple Pay for that very reason. So, and again, for older folks who weren't used to it, they would, I don't know how to do that. I'm intimidated by it. And so it's been one of our goals is to help people to learn to use the technology that they have.
Yeah, that's excellent. Caroline and Lino, are you using Apple Pay at all yet? Have you guys jumped onto the revolution of paying for things with your phone?
Yeah, I use it on mostly online shopping on my phone. It's got Apple Pay, and I just do the ding, and it's done.
Ding.
So that's very nice and easy.
That's right. The only thing that frustrates me is, Caroline, or you guys with the Apple, because we wear masks in Victoria, and you put your phone up there.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't recognize your face. Oh, my goodness me.
Yeah.
And then you done a double tap.
Yeah.
And it recognizes your face, double tap. And so half the time, I'm sorry, guys, I do old school, I take my card out. But every time I take a card out, the numbers start fading away every time I take it out. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Trying to
and
tell
if you double tap too much, you set off the SOS system as well.
SOS system, exactly. And then you would say, and you say certain words like serious or anything or something. The
yes lady.
She would, the yes lady would come up and go, no, I don't want to do that. I want to pay for this thing. Like, oh.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of the Apple Watch is you don't have to take your mask off, and that's if you have an Apple Watch, which is awesome.
I do. I'm going to have to find out how to use it on the phone, on the watch. I haven't done that.
Yeah.
I'll
it's
have
very
to listen
convenient.
to an episode and find out.
Super convenient.
Yeah.
So the third show on the network, Dom, that has reached a milestone is American Catholic History. Another great show on the network, by the way. It's for people not from the United States. It's very educational for us, learning about U.S. history and Catholics' involvement in it. But they recently reached their 100th episode. So first of all, congratulations to Tom and Noel for doing that. What's been the response on the network to this show?
People love it. We have had teachers and catechists who've said we want to more of this, and we've created some secondary resources like worksheets, and we've worked with Flocknote, which is a company that does mailings like e-newsletter type services, e-communication for parishes, where they have a library where the parish can take pre-formatted content from a variety of services like Bishop Barron's Word on Fire and others. And so we've created a bunch of pre-formatted newsletters based on their episodes that parishes can use. So it's been really fantastic. And one of the things I love about the series, the show, is that it's not just saints. They've had St. Damien of Molokai, of course, but they've had Alfred Hitchcock, and an upcoming episode will have John Wayne and all these people, and then people you've never heard of. Like we recently, speaking of science, Sister Miriam Stimson. I forget whether it's an M or an N, but she is a Dominican sister who was a pioneer, female scientist whose contribution to the research into DNA made it possible for them to do the structure, to determine the structure, the double helix of DNA. So Watson and Crick would not have the Nobel if it wasn't for Sister Miriam. Yeah. She's an unsung hero. In fact, we wouldn't have our vaccines without that contribution. So it was a fantastic show in that particular episode. But the 100th episode was very cool because it was very personal to Noelle, because it was about her grandfather, who was a hero of D-Day in World War II. Wow. And if you get a chance to listen to it, it's fantastic because it's a great story.
Yeah, I go through the show slowly because, Dom, there's so much content now.
I have a hard time keeping up.
Getting to that. I did listen recently to St. Damien of Molokai. He's a hero of mine. My son is named after him. I love so much. So to have a show about him was a treat. I really enjoyed that.
Yes, it's fantastic. And it's very brief. It's maybe 20 minutes, but most episodes are around 20 minutes. So you're getting a lot of content in not too long a time. Some podcasts, including the Sea Mysterious World, will go on for an hour and a half, although it's good, solid content. But sometimes you just want something briefer and kind of quick, so that, especially when you are aiming at perhaps a younger audience whose attention can wander, this keeps it brief, keeps it quick, and keeps it engaging.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well done to them for the 100th episode, and I hope that we see their ranking rise in Apple Podcasts. It'd be great for them to, All right, so just some other shows then. There's this show that comes from all the way across. It's about 10 hours ahead of you, Dom, from good old Australia, from good old So we've been locked down twice this year. A lot of people lost power in Victoria recently because we're in the middle of winter and stormy weather. So
wow, yeah.
However, the show has managed to continue. So Catholic. I mean, we've enjoyed throwing an Australian perspective onto the network, and every now and then we do hear, not all the time, but from time to time we do hear from audience members, which is great. But what's the general feel about Catholics of Oz on the network for you and for the board?
I'm very impressed by the way that you've continued to approach the faith from a very positive perspective. It's not that you avoid hard discussions, but the way you approach them is very positive, very Catholic. And I'm glad to see that you all are getting recognized for that. You, Archbishop Comensoli, I feel like I'm following in big footsteps here, coming on the very next episode after the Archbishop. But he obviously recognizes the contribution that you all are making in his diocese, the Archdiocese of Melbourne. It's fantastic to see that you guys get that recognition. And I want your audience to grow, both where you are in Australia, but to also around the world. I think you have that's the great thing with the internet. We're not limited by geography anymore, where we can reach everyone. And so I would love to see the audience grow even more and to acquire, because I really deserve it. The content is so good that I think more people need to hear it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Lino, you're the youngest panelist on the show. As in, it's been about I think just over a year.
It's been a year.
Yeah. What's your experience being part of this show?
It's been awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, Dom, again, very much for introducing me to the team and everything. And it's been awesome, guys. Once again, I'm speechless. I'm just part of the team, enjoying our faith and our culture, and catching up with everyone over here, and spreading our message towards the whole world. Like Dom said, I wouldn't be surprised. We're not the only Catholic podcast, but we are part of that team who are trying to spread our love and our support throughout the whole thing. I must admit, the last episode we did, guys, we're about the dream time. About the Aboriginal people.
Yeah, about Reconciliation Week. Yeah.
Reconciliation. That really, after we did a podcast, I had to go, like I was actually said, I wanted to talk about the dream time and about our Aboriginal people. It really thought to myself, this is something we need to understand. And like Caroline was saying on our podcast, and I think that was one of the best ones I've done. It really brought me back in trying to rethink of our own heritage and our Indigenous people and everything. But look, all the other podcasts have been great. it had been what was it called? I can't remember the word. I can't remember the word now, but it's been awesome. It's been awesome. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And Caroline, we've been doing this for a while now. And let's not forget also Jared's contribution early on as well. Like he's still part of our team in the background there. But yeah, what's it been like for you on this? I don't know. What are we? This is our third year of doing this now. It feels like
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun. I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to do a podcast and to do the kind of show that we do with, talking about faith so openly and sharing our faith and, science and entertainment and just kind of, it feels like we're just catching up, you and me as siblings and Lino, like I've known Lino since we were 5 years old. So we're long-time friends. Yep. So it's really good to connect, together and share our opinions and news stories and everything together. So I feel privileged to be able to do it and to do science. I'm not the most intelligent person in the world, but I love science and I just want to share that love with everybody. So
good job, Caroline.
I do my best.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's fun. I really love it. And thank you to Dom for, and the board for having us on the network.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing I feel like I enjoyed it right from the start, but I feel like maybe because we had a massive lockdown last year in Victoria, and it was quite tough for a while. I almost feel like we found our purpose there in just wanting to accompany people, just wanting to share some, like you said, Dom, to be positive for people. I think at some points before we got a bit loopy last year, we're probably going crazy, which is why the casual episodes came about. We just thought, let's just talk to people. But yeah, I think it's really, I felt like it's given us more of a purpose in the sense that I really do want to accompany people who are listening. So if you're a person who's listening right now, I want you to feel like we're right here with you and that we're talking to you and that we're just so excited to hear back from you as well. And I think that's a really important thing with whatever it is that we might be talking about.
I think Lindsay, we kind of made the decision to be positive. We didn't want to have any negativity in the podcast. We wanted to make it a fun and lighthearted show, addressing topics, but not doing it in such a hard way, just making everything lighthearted and, with love and care and positivity. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only person who would know when we're being negative would be Dom, and that's when we're recording and there'll be a dropout or, lose connection. Or like, technology again.
All edited out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Dom's really good at saving us from
only the best bit.
Yeah. One last thing I'll say about our show very quickly, and I won't say his name, but there's a colleague of mine at my work who listens. I know he's listening right now. So shout out to you if you're in your car right now. Don't have a car accident. Watch the road. But he's constantly, every now and then texting me or coming up to me and bringing up something we talked about in a jokey way. And I'm very disappointed, and only he's going to get this, that rocket leave is not something that we can have at work. And I'm not very happy that can't be in our teacher contracts. But anyway, he'll get what I'm talking about there. So Dom, let's move on to a show that's a show that we love, and one that, again, is very close to home for you, and that's Raising the Bets. So you and Melanie talking about being married, talking about having family, talking about cooking, talking about all the things that go on, the ups and downs. And I think, we've seen, in terms of the downs, you had a shelf collapse at one point, and I think it was in the kitchen. Remember that? Yeah, that's a big one, The ups you had, was it Lucy's first Holy Communion just recently? I think you talked about.
Oh, she looks so precious in her little Holy Communion outfit. I just wanted to say, such an angel.
Yes.
But just going through all the things that Catholics do in their everyday life, and I know that we really appreciate this. But what has it meant to you? Having had your 100th episode this year as well, so congratulations for that. But what has it meant to you and Melanie to be able to produce a show like this for our audience?
Well, it's funny. I never thought that Melanie would agree to do a podcast. She's always very much, sort of in the background sort of person. But we felt like we needed to put a human face on the network, in the sense of there are people behind the microphones, and who are we? These people who are producing this show, and so we wanted to talk about just how do we do what we do, raising our family of 5 kids. And we're not necessarily the way to do it, but just what are we doing, and what interests us. And because one of the things that characterizes our relationship is, from the beginning, we talk together. And that was one of the things that we learned was why we were such a good couple together. From the very beginning, I used to host a Bible study back in the day, and she started coming to the Bible study. And after the Bible study, we would stand at the front door to my apartment for hours with her hand on the doorknob, her coat on, ready to leave, but we couldn't stop talking. And so we love talking to each other about all kinds of things. And so we bring that to the podcast, and we talk about the things that interest us, and we love to cook together. So we talk about cooking and cooking ideas, funny things that I've cooked, or funny our successes and failures. We talk about those, and then or my favorite little tool. I waxed rhapsodic about a slotted spoon that I bought recently. It just I never thought I'd be excited about a slotted spoon, but it was
very handy.
Yes, and then we'll talk about books and shows that we watch, especially if we watch them together and that sort of thing. And then a little bit about we try to talk a little bit about this week's gospel readings, or the Sunday Mass readings. How that affect us, where we've seen interesting take on it, in various places, whether it's the homily or someplace else. And so it's really just kind of a little bit of us put out there for folks to enjoy and to take out of it what they like. And I've heard feedback from listeners. We talked about this recently on the show, who they love the mix, the unique mix of our personalities and the things we talk about. That's unlike any other Catholic family podcast that they've seen.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we're going to pick you up on something. So the last time you gave us a plug on Raising the Bets after you'd been on our show, you said that we were a bit like polite but rowdy Canadians. So just wondering, have you thought of a title or a way to describe us for the next episode of Raising the Bets yet?
I'll have to think about that. I was thinking more about Australia itself, and just it's the pleasantest people in the deadliest place. It's just
that is great.
That is so
excellent.
The continent wants to kill you, but the people are very nice to you.
They're very warm and friendly, and we'll show you the places to avoid.
That's right.
Which is
So true. Give you a list of the animals that you can touch and the ones that you should stay away from.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, cats and dogs at home, you can touch them. Don't touch them.
They're okay, and chickens, Caroline, as well. Yeah,
and the chickens.
Yeah. Dom, one thing that the three of us have talked about from time to time when we're just sending texts to each other and talking about our shows is that we're impressed by the cooking that you and Melanie do, and the recipes. So just peeling back a bit of the opening the curtain a little bit. Were you and Melanie both really good cooks before you met each other? Is it something that developed in your marriage? How did this happen?
I would say I've always loved cooking from when I was in school, as in grade school. My mom was my parents were divorced, and my mom worked during the day. And so there was a time when I was 14, 15, 16, I would come home from school and there would be a note, there's chicken in the fridge, make dinner. Right. And so I was kind of thrown into the deep end, make something. And I also love to watch Julia Child and Graham Kerr, the Galloping Gourmet on television. And I started to really get interested in cooking back then. And so ever since then, cooking has been something I've loved to do and been interested in. And so I even in college, I had a bit of a reputation as someone who liked to cook and that sort of thing. Melanie often cooked by necessity when she was younger, but when she moved to Massachusetts for grad school, I think she lived with some young women who were much more into cooking than her, if I recall correctly, and she started to get more acclimated. But when we got married, that's really, I think, when our cooking together really took off. It's one of the things we do well together is cooking together. And so it's a nice, it's like making a souffle where all the parts come together, whatever your metaphor wants to be there.
Yeah, it's a great and I need to improve on this myself, but I'm very busy with my schoolwork. I come home from school, I've still got corrections to do, I've got planning to do. So I have to teach myself to switch off at night, sometimes and spend a bit more time out of that door behind me and talking to my family a little bit. But cooking with Isabel, when I do, it forces us, and I say that in a good way, it forces us together.
Yes.
And, and I actually treasure those moments where we're actually, especially on Saturdays, it's usually when we'll make something together, which is great. And we'll try things out and we'll make, big disasters of things, and we'll love each other's cooking and criticize each other's cooking, but it brings us together. Yeah. Caroline and Lino, have you guys have obviously had a bit of time where you've cooked with your spouses and had some interesting moments, haven't you?
Yeah, I kind of prefer to cook on my own. It might be like, I'm too tired, Phil, you cook tonight, and he'll be like, all right. And he cooks like spaghetti bolognese. That's his dish. And when I'm cooking, I just let me cook on my own, because I love to cook, and he doesn't. So I'll just do it myself. It's quicker if I just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, Lino, you and Bernadette, from my observation at least anyway, so it's always been like Bernadette gets the meat ready and the salads, and then you go out to the barbecue and you cook it up. Yes. That's kind of like the partnership you guys have. Is that a common thing that happens in the Sabol household?
Well, for winter, it's mostly cooking the meat on the stove in the frying pan. So the whole smoke comes out. You just go. I'm trying to get it. We sort of try to plan each day which we'll have to do, and the great thing is now with your mother-in-law or your mother, you guys will know about it. They can give you food for another day, and you're trying to space it up for another 2 days, so you don't have to cook. Leftovers and all that. But the majority of us, we have the sort of staples like meat and veggies every day, or like Caroline will say, we'll have some spaghetti bolognese sometimes. And then sometimes that spaghetti bolognese can last for a day or so. The longest one we've ever done, so the longest day we had was a lasagna that lasted for 4 days for us.
Oh, wow.
It was Benedict dish. We had 4 days of lasagna. I was going, I'm not fussy. God has given us food. Why not eat it? But maybe on the fourth day, you'll just go, ugh.
Oh, not lasagna again. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lord. I think I need a bit of a change, please. But sometimes foods can. Yeah, we cook at times together. At times I'm the first one that comes in, so I have to prep everything and get everything ready and all that stuff. And we sometimes cook together, so it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dom, if there is one criticism I have of listening to you talking about cooking, it's when you say, I think it was your last episode where you'd gone to, I think it was your brother's house to swim, and then you were talking about being wiped out when you came back. And you and Melanie were saying, let's do something easy. So let's make a rice bowl. We've got some chicken left over. And then you're going on, and then I threw in some sesame oil. Then I threw in this. And I thought, that's not easy. You're putting too much effort into it.
Well, there wasn't
easy as a toasted sandwich.
Well, there was no cooking. I mean, it's just you mixing things together, heating you in the microwave, that sort of thing, chopping up vegetables. Although I have to say, it was easier in concept than like after we started having to chop all the vegetables and things. I'm like, I think maybe we should have picked something a little even easier than that.
Like if you're describing that as easy, I feel so lazy because I feel like there was a red line and you crossed it from easy to no. Let's put some effort into this.
I have to say one thing. I started saving my chicken bones now to put in broth and put in soup. So I've taken that tip from you. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. One of the things I love that we figured out was saving things that can be used for other things. So whenever we make any chicken dishes that have bones, we save them in the freezer and we use that to make stock. And we save vegetable ends and carrots, celery, onion, any of the ends of those things. The rest goes into the compost. But I love this idea of saving up the scraps, and because it's the frugality that my grandmother had, and that nothing gets wasted, and I loved that. Yeah,
that's brilliant. Well, thank you to you and Melanie so much for just showing us that it's okay to be normal, and that and the fact that the two of you don't just share the good things that are going on, but also the difficulties as well. I mean, was it the time when you cut your thumb earlier this year? Not that I want to remind you of that.
My finger.
Your finger. Yeah, that's right. But I just love that the two of you are not afraid to be normal and to tell us all about it, and for people like us to say, okay, it happens to everyone, not just us.
I've done that too many times. Okay, you've gone through that as well. All right, I'm a normal parent. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely a show that lots of other couples need to hear, I think.
Yeah. Is it weird though that I thought I'm sitting in the urgent care with my finger all wrapped up, waiting to get the treatment on it, and thinking this will be a good podcast segment. I have just the picture I'm going to put on the episode. I have to add, Melanie will not allow me to use the cleaver anymore.
Okay, right. Yep.
That has now been put in a drawer away, and I have to give it away.
Idea.
The answer is yes, that is weird, but also strangely normal as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on to talking about some of the secrets of series. There's been a lot happening in these shows as well. Yeah. But let's start with the one where, now, I don't want to say there's been a lot of activity in the show, but not necessarily a lot of activity in the franchise, and that's the secrets of Doctor Who. I feel like we almost need a TARDIS to travel back to a time when there was Doctor Who we could watch on TV. So I guess tell us about what it's like going through some of the older shows, but also when are we going to see something happen in the Doctor Who universe again? Yeah,
to address that part, all the news that we've been getting is that we're going to see something next year, 2022. Is when is the earliest I've heard. The BBC is strangely tight-lipped about when they're going to do things. It was like 2 weeks before the New Year special, before we knew it was going to be a New Year special. I was like, just tell us. Yeah. I need to plan my episodes. Think of the podcasters. So we did have one new episode then. But it's a lot of fun. It's interesting for me to go back to these old, almost 60-something-year-old episodes now in cases, and see where the show has come from, and to see the DNA of the show through the decades. And some of this, and almost I've seen none of that before. I'm approaching all this for the first time, and it's really interesting. Some of it's really good. Some of it's really bad. Sixth Doctor. But it's fun to see where the show has been, and to see how creative some of these shows were, how good they were, despite having no technology to make special effects and very limited budgets. But it was about the acting and about the writing and about the storytelling, and it reminds you a bit of that. It's interesting to see what's happened. We've been doing the show we're in the 200s of episodes in this show. I think we're close to 250 at this point, and we're starting to run out of televised. Sixth Doctor. We do the new Who in between, going back to the old classic episodes, and we're getting to we started the show by doing the 12th Doctor episodes way back when, 6 years ago. And we're getting up to that point again, and we've decided, it's a bit of a scoop, we're going to do those again. So it will have been about 7 years since we first talked about them.
Yeah, yep.
And so we're going to talk about them again, as like we're doing with the classics. And so that should be interesting. I'm still dreading doing the Moon Egg episode, but I don't want to see that one again.
Oh yeah, that was turn your lights on Earth and we can see it from here. Yeah, let us know.
Oh my gosh! Goodness. How could the dragon be the egg be the same size as the thing that birthed it? Anyway, sorry, I'm still traumatized. I'm still traumatized.
Yeah. I can't actually look at the moon without thinking it's an egg now because of the episode. Yeah,
that's no moon. That's a space egg.
No, it's an egg, apparently.
It's apparently just an egg. So, and then we're doing a lot of the 8th Doctor Big Finish audio productions. And I think as we finish the runs of each of the Doctors, the classic Doctors, we're going to start doing their Big Finish audio productions as well. So that is going to be a lot of fun.
Those are so I wasn't introduced to those until listening to Secrets of Doctor Who, and I've got to say that the ones I've listened to are amazingly good.
Yes.
I was surprised at the quality. I thought, okay, it's going to be an audio production. It won't be like watching the show. But actually, some of these episodes are so well thought out that they are superior to the TV shows.
They are.
The one that stood out for me, I forgot its name, but it goes back to the origins of the Cybermen. It's connected to the very first episode or one of the early episodes. I forgot what it was, but the emotional resonance of that, I was like, whoa, it's amazing. Yeah.
It was the first audio production, the Big Finish audio production that we did. It was connected to the 10th Planet.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I forget. It escapes my mind exactly what it was called. But yeah, these are so great. In fact, for some of the Doctors, like the 6th Doctor, who I kind of said was his seasons were not very great, but his Big Finish stories people agree are really good. And so it's very interesting to see these. Jimmy recently listened to ones that include Missy, the master, and he says they're great. I'm like, I definitely want to listen to those because I loved Missy. I mean, she was fantastic. I can imagine how good those stories are, and they can do, as I was alluding to with Classic Who, with the limits of technology, they can do things in audio that they still can't do on TV or unless they had a huge budget. So it's really great.
Missy is such a great character. I loved the episode. It was towards the very end of Peter Capaldi's run, and she steps out of the TARDIS as the Doctor on that spaceship with the Cybermen. Yeah, and she's describing the companions. At one point, she calls them snacks. I thought that was hilarious. Great humor. Yeah, and I only remember that because my son's been watching. He's been getting into Doctor Who, so he's been watching it. Yeah. Let's move on to another great sci-fi up and down sci-fi franchise. It's had some great moments and it's had some other ones where what's that all about? Star Trek. And now let me start with this. I've noticed that the team has struggled a bit with dredging through season 1 of The Next Generation. So you've started branching out a bit. So we'll do a season 1 Next Gen here. We'll do a season 2 or 3 over here so we can talk about something good. Has it felt liberating to get out of season 1 a little bit?
We did that consciously with actually TNG, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, where we're going back and forth from first season to, because with all of those series, the first few seasons especially have kind of dragged. They had, in fact, especially The Next Generation, they had some really bad episodes, and so we were thinking, like, if we just keep doing it like this, because we do it in a round robin fashion through all of the series. If we keep doing it, we're going to be doing these terrible episodes for like 3 years. We need a break. So we decided to kind of jump to the middle of each show, each run, and then back to the beginning, back and forth. And it has been a great break to really do some better shows, some better stories. Which isn't to say that there aren't, a rare diamond in the rough in the first seasons of these. Yeah. But it is nice to kind of have a little variety.
Dom, please don't rage quit this recording when I ask you this question, but how far away are you from Angel 1?
Oh, it's soon. It's
you know what I'm talking about.
I know which one, yes. Oh, Riker. Oh. I mean, is it worse? I mean, it's hard to like, is Angel 1 worse than what was it, Naked Yesterday? Was there? Yeah, I mean,
or Code of Honor.
A Code of Honor. Oh, I mean, so many bad episodes.
Boy.
Like I'm surprised Star Trek: The Next Generation survived. It basically survived on the sheer will of Trek fans who had been waiting more than a decade for Trek to be back on the air, and they're like, I've waited this long, I'm making it work. So
I'll persevere. We'll take anything, please. Just put the Enterprise in it and do something. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, Caroline, we won't bore you with what happened to these episodes. If you want to rewatch, we recommend that you don't. But if you want to rewatch and see why they're so terrible,
quite happy not to.
So every now and then, I might pick out a season 1 or 2 episode. There are some ones that aren't so bad. I said, there are some gems, and it reminds me of when I was younger and I was watching Star Trek. But I remember, I don't even know what it's called. I'm not even going to bother looking it up. But there was one where in season 2 that I watched recently where Loxwana Troy, to Council Troy's mother, comes back to the ship and she's looking for a mate because apparently that's part of something when they turn 50. Yeah. And it was bad. It was so bad. And I just thought, who sat down and wrote this? Who thought this would be a good idea? It's City on the Edge of Forever, I'll tell you that.
No. Well, and it's funny. I think there were some great episodes featuring Loxwana Troy. In fact, I think one of the best ones with her was in Deep Space Nine, where poor Odo was the center of affection, but it was a good one. But yeah, some of them were very ill-considered early on. Especially when you look at, I was recently looking through the first season of the original series, and I'm like, all of this was in the first season. There is some really awesome episodes in the first season.
Yeah,
and so it was. It was hard, but I have to tell you a little anecdote about Star Trek and me is like you were talking about watching sci-fi with your dad and introducing it to you. That was for me. My dad introduced me to Star Trek, Partly because he grew up in the same neighborhood as Leonard Nimoy. They knew each other. They sold newspapers on opposite corners of the street. And so he wanted to watch the show. And so Star Trek was my introduction to sci-fi, which was my introduction to Star Wars and then to all these things. So in a way, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now necessarily if it weren't for watching Star Trek with my dad all those years ago. It's kind of funny to think about, but Star Trek is still my first science fiction love.
Yeah, and I've seen comments on from listeners who say things like they just love the banter between you and Dom and Father Corey. There's some really funny things like the bad episodes actually just give you guys a chance to have a laugh. And
the bad episodes are some of our best conversations.
Yeah, and it gives Jimmy a chance to say something like, "Let me tell you why I think this is stupid."
Yes. I just sit back at that point and let him go because that's the best.
Yeah. Caroline and Lino, there's been a lot happening in Star Trek recently, new shows. Have you watched any of the new offerings recently in the last couple of years at all?
I've kept up with Discovery.
We're all in this together.
I'm up and down with that one. It always starts out really good. The series always starts out really exciting, really action-packed, really promising of great stories. And then for me, it just kind of goes slowly downhill because it just slows right down. It gets all emotional. It's all about one person. It's all about, let's do this together. It's like, no, just shoot some bad guys, fly the ship, go back in space, go forward in space, go to planets, just do all the things that you're supposed to be doing. I'm not really worried about your personal relationships. It's not like watching this. So, sorry. I just, but that flew off the handle a bit there, but that is how I feel about Discovery and tardigrades and mycelial networks. It's just not science. Anyway, that's my considered opinion on that.
But it's fun to watch. Yeah. Lino, how about you? Lino, did you catch up on Discovery? I know you were watching it at some point. Have you and Bernadette caught up yet?
No, we haven't watched the latest episode. I'm sorry, latest season yet. When we get back to watching the original Star Trek, which I enjoy watching. It's sometimes my better half just oh really? Okay, right, it's all good. So watching that, but
vampires or
I think she has a bit of a hard day, and I think Caroline understands. Everyone has at work comes up and just want to chill out, and Star Trek's not that like Dom will know, the original series is not like boom, 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 all action and everything, explosions, all that. It's very more like what's it called, dialogue and more vocal. And I was joking with Lindsay. I think Captain Kirk's like a James Bond of Star Trek. So but Discovery. Yeah, we haven't watched the latest one, and I think how Caroline's saying it. I loved the first 2 or 3 seasons, but now am I spoiling it, Dom, by saying they went back to?
You can spoil. It's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
if they when they go back, go forward in time? Was it 900 years?
Yeah.
But when they did that, I knew they're going to make a new timeline and they're going to do their own thing. And like Caroline said, if it's all about that particular character, oh my goodness me, they need to branch out a bit more. They need to branch out a bit more, guys. Come on. Another galaxy to explore. Keep on going. Don't worry about the one character. You got all these other characters on the ship. And that's what Star Trek is, isn't it, Dom? And everyone. Yes. It's all about the characters, each individual of all of them. And it's just, if it's just based on one character, I'm just like, oh my goodness me, they're gonna do well. I'm sorry, they're not gonna do well.
They should just have an episode where they just blatantly say all about Michael.
They should. That's what they should rename it. Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery. #Michael.
I like the characters. I like the concept. I like the going forward into the future. I just feel like the 3rd season started out really exciting. I was excited for it. And it just felt like it's one of those things where each episode was just jigsaw puzzle pieces. Like, well, let's just put this together so they can move to the next part, and then let's just fall flat at the end.
What felt disappointing with the 3rd season of Discovery it felt like they were trying to, I don't want to necessarily get into it, but they had a particular point of view about a particular things that they were trying to, that was more important than telling a good story. And that was a little disappointing. Although I have to say, if I can switch a little, Lower Decks has redeemed
Yes.
the Star Trek franchise. It's the best
Cool.
thing in Star Trek right now.
Cool.
Really is.
Yeah.
I've laughed through so many episodes of Lower Decks. What stood out for you, Dom? What was a favorite moment in Lower Decks?
Oh my gosh. Well, the thing I love about it most is that you could tell that they're all Star Trek fans, and all the little in jokes, all the funny like things that only someone who's watched all the episodes would get in the references. I love the one where I forget the name of the characters, but the one where the main character in Lower Decks, where he got caught in a transporter beam, and it was just humming all the time, like the transporter hum everywhere he went. And it was just so funny because transporter accidents is a Star Trek thing. And so what if there was a transporter accident where it didn't stop the noise? That was so great.
That's his Boimler. That's right. He goes to the
Boimler.
bridge and he's like, "Arr!" And they're like, everything's fine. They're like, get off, go to sick bay. Yeah, Lower Decks. It's great. I'm really enjoying that. Yeah.
We're going
we
to
could talk about.
By the way, I want to mention that the first season of Lower Decks, we did it as a patron exclusive each episode, and then put it all out as one big episode at the end. This time, we decided we're going to do dedicate an episode to each one as it comes out. So because it deserves it.
Yeah, that's excellent. We could talk about Star Trek forever because there are so many shows.
Yes.
Like we haven't even brought up Star Trek Picard and Q coming through, all those very exciting
And Strange
choices
New
that
Worlds,
Peggy-
which I'm very excited about.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Yeah. So looking forward to hearing your commentary on that.
Yep.
Another franchise that that's been explored through Father Andrew Kinstead and his team is The Secrets of Star Wars.
Yep.
And the wonderful things they're doing on that show. So the live episodes, Vanessa Marshall as a guest.
I was so exciting.
So great. Yes. How what's his secret? How is he getting these people to record for him to be guests on the show? What's his connection?
So I think that the thing is with Father Andrew it's similar with Father Roderick Von Hoeken, who started all of this with SQPN, but also Secrets of Star Wars. It's the unique idea of a Catholic priest who's also a Star Wars geek. And like I could go to conventions and be all geeky and nobody cares. I'm just another 50-year-old weird guy, at a convention. But when Father Andrew goes, he wears his collar. But he also has a geeky T-shirt on top, and he's got an engaging personality. He's friendly. He's fun. He doesn't take himself seriously, and he's not at all afraid to talk to people. And he gets autographs. He goes into the autographs lines and gets a picture taken with them. And the actors love to talk to him about, wow, a Catholic priest has come to my line. And so it's been really, and he's not afraid to reach out and ask actors to do stuff for the show. That's how we got 3 different of the actors, Star Wars actors, to do stingers for the show. You're listening to The Secrets of Star Wars. We had Ashley Eckstein, the original Ahsoka Tano. She was awesome, and we're a little secret here. I'm hoping he gets her on the show because she's Catholic.
Yes, she's Catholic. Yes.
Wow. Her husband, and then we've had Emily Swallow, who played the Armorer in The Mandalorian. And so she may have also seen her on SEAL Team, and we have also in Vanessa Marshall, who was Hera on Star Wars Rebels, and then he asked her, and the other one we might get is that he's trying to get to come on the show is Katie Sackhoff. He's had some good conversations with her, just personally, and so it would be awesome. Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica.
You got Starbuck.
I know. I'm like, I'm on that show. I'm pulling rank. I want to be on that episode.
Yeah.
Father Mike Creevy, you're out. I'm in. No, I'm just kidding. But he's not afraid to ask, and it's just awesome to see that.
That's great. Good on him for doing that, for bringing such great content. Him and the whole team. It's great listening to their just their love of Star Wars. And I do remember the episode where one of them shouted out, "Ahsoka is Catholic!" Oh my gosh!
Yes.
All that kind of,
That's right.
So it's really and what is it? I got to record a bit of poetry for them for their holiday special, which was a bit of fun as well. So
that was good.
Yeah, but loving the work that they do, and I don't know if we could talk about the Star Wars franchise, because don't they have like 50 shows coming out over the...
Oh, we've got Kenobi, we've got Book of Boba Fett, we've got Mandalorian Season 3, we've got the Cassian Andor series coming out, and that's just the one. And then there's a movie, The Acolyte, which is kind of in the distance a bit, but that one takes place in the High Republic era, which is a new thing that they're doing, which is several hundred years before the prequels at the height of the Republic. And so some very interesting stuff is coming down the line. And so it's very exciting. And of course, right now they're talking about the Bad Batch, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Loving it. Yes. So I'm going to see I wonder what their schedule is going to be like with all these shows that they have to balance and talk about.
That's right.
Yep. And so lastly, another secret series that's on the network is Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. A chance for anyone really to talk about any particular TV or movie show, like movie that's been iconic or important.
Right.
What's been happening with that podcast lately?
So one of the things that has been fun is because it's such an open concept, we can do a lot of different things. And we talked about the Godfather movies not too long ago, which was fun because I'd never seen them, despite being Sicilian. I'd never seen them. I think it maybe hit a little too close to home, but it was awesome to talk about those. See, Andrew Hermes and Thomas Herho, and I think it's Mike Creevy, or no, it's Jack Barazini, have been talking about Dune, various incarnations of Dune as movies, including a really crazy 1970s concept that never actually got made by this guy named Jodorowsky, I think his name was. And you got to listen to that one because that was wild.
Thankfully, I did do that episode. That was bizarre. And
that's all leading up to the new Dune movie that's finally due to come out later this year, which is awesome. So we could do kind of series we're going to do a bunch of episodes coming up on the Karate Kid series. I think we're going to do Karate Kid 1, 2, and the Cobra Kai. That's on Netflix now. I don't think we're going to do 3 and 4 of the Karate Kid series. We'll see. Just like we skipped Raiders 4 with the Crystal Skull when we did those.
True.
But we just did Braveheart, which is one of my favorite movies. And that was awesome. Wow. We're gonna do The Patriot, which is another Mel Gibson movie. We're gonna do that really soon. And then one of the things I'm excited about is Coffee and Cinema is a sort of a sub show within that, which is where Father Chip Hines lives. We live in proximity to each other. We live near each other, and we would go to a movie, watch the movie, and then come out of the movie. And we tried sitting in a cafe. It was too loud, so we sit in his car and we record a short episode where we talk about our very first impressions and our of this movie we just watched together. Well, obviously the last year we haven't really been able to do that. I think we did when Greyhound came out on Apple TV Plus, we kind of both said, all right, let's watch it now and then we'll record afterward remotely. But it didn't feel right. So we're gonna get back to doing that very soon. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's great just listening to you've just walked out, you're sitting down with a coffee or something else and just talking about it. I actually really enjoy the atmosphere of that sub series. That's really good.
Yes.
So we might whip around the panel, and Dom, we'll start with you as our guest. What are you watching right now? What have you been streaming or watching lately?
Well, there's two things I wanted to mention, apart from anything else we've talked about, is the new Marvel series. The first episode, as we record this, the first episode is dropped of Loki.
Yes.
Wow.
Wasn't it great?
Tom Hiddleston is awesome, but Owen Wilson is fantastic.
Yes. He's a big spag, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, the thing I like about Owen Wilson is he's got that improv thing that Robin Williams did. There are certain lines that he's delivering that he just threw out on the set, and they decided to keep it in. And it's just fantastic. And the Loki series, not only is it entertaining in its own right, but I think my understanding is it's introducing the next big phase of Marvel, of all the Marvel movies and shows, and so that's gonna be very interesting to see. So that's the one of the things I'm really excited about watching right now. And then just to name the other one is there's a channel here in the U.S. called the History Channel. Which has very little to do with history these days, mostly aliens and World War II. Not even World War II, but mostly aliens. But they have a show called The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh.
Now, the Skinwalker Ranch episode of Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World is my favorite because it's so creepy. And so this one is the guy who bought the ranch, who owns it now, hired a bunch of scientists and other people, and they're on the ranch doing these explorations, and it's all these weird, creepy things happen in every episode. And I sit there going, okay, are they are they putting us on, or is this really happening?
Yeah.
And so there's a little of that, but like either they're lying outright to the American people in this, like just lying through their teeth, or they're really, there's weird things happening. And based on what Jimmy and I talked about, I think there's really weird things happening there. So that's a lot of fun and entertaining. They're in their second season now, so that's really interesting.
Oh, it'd be so much cooler if weird things just were happening there, wouldn't it?
Well, the thing that's frustrating is they never actually get it on camera. It's like, what's that over there? And then the camera whips around and like, oh, it's gone. Like, no, come on.
Yeah, we do that to our 2-year-olds. Come on, that's
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
That's right. It worked on them, not on us. Yeah. Caroline, you and I were texting each other about Loki. We watched it last night. Yeah, what were your thoughts about it?
Practically at the same time, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the WandaVision series. I thought that was excellent. And then I saw they were going to do Loki. I thought, oh, please make it as good as WandaVision, because I loved it. And it lived up to that expectation, and if not more. And like you were saying, Owen Wilson, when I saw him on the screen, I went, oh, he's on screen again, because I like, I like the way he acts as well. And I did pick up that I thought perhaps there were a few lines that were improvised there, especially I think the one where he's talking up to the judge.
Yes.
Yes, pick that too, yeah. And I thought, oh yeah, that wasn't written in. That's great, and the whole story of it, loved it. Yes, I highly recommend. And like with each WandaVision episode, they left you right on the edge of a cliff, and you're like, no, I need to see the next one now.
Yes.
So yes, truly loved it.
Yeah, I actually found myself laughing out loud watching it. And, it's really, it was written really well. Yeah, Lino, have you been watching anything lately? You haven't seen Loki yet, have you?
No, because I don't have Disney Plus yet.
I'll share my account.
No. I need to get a streaming service because I've got an old PS3. So it used to have. I'm not going a bit tangent here. It had SBS on demand, which had awesome shows on it, but they got rid of that. But I have to probably get on my laptop and hook it up on the TV to get that done. Superstore, I'm still watching that.
I still watching that.
I know I'm sounding negative, but once again, the show's a bit up and down. You know what I mean? Some of it's funny, some of it's not. And also trying to catch up on Star Trek. So nothing totally exciting from my side of entertainment. I haven't been able to go out yet. But we'll see what happens. We'll watch a couple of movies. Hopefully, we can go out to the cinemas and everything. So, pretty quiet on the TV side of things for us.
Well, with SBS On Demand, I would recommend the first 6 seasons of Bosch, but they ruined that for everyone. So
no. We're going to hear about that every episode, aren't we?
Sorry. It's on demand.
There's a new season coming, by the way.
That's right. In 2 weeks, I think it is.
Yeah.
And Dom, you got me onto it through Raising the Bets, and I fell in love with that show. It's been great.
It's so awesome.
It's great. Yeah, excellent. All right. So Dom, just to cap off the show, the network, like we said, it's growing. There's more shows coming all the time. Tell us about the future plans. What is the board imagining SQPN is going to look like from here?
Well, we're definitely thinking of more new shows. The trick is we don't want to add more shows than we are capable of producing at high quality, and that's a big thing. And we're at the point now where if we add a show, we also need to add an editor, a producer to do it. It's just I edit almost everything else. We've gotten some help. Victor Lambs edits a couple shows for us. Jack Brazzini edits Secrets of Stargate. So we need to do more of that. But there has been a few proposals come across. We'll see how that goes. One space related. So there would be another science-y, but very specifically space. So we'll see how that goes. It would be another short show. It would be basically space news, whatever the latest space news is.
Oh, yeah, sign us up.
There's plenty of that. The richest man in the world is leaving Earth, by the way. I hope you guys are worried. But I hear the richest man in the world quit his job and is leaving the planet. I'm a little worried by that. But that's and then
where is he going?
Where are you going? So and then another one, Father Corey and I were talking about that he'd perhaps he thinks he might like to explore a show that's about more wide-ranging geek topics like games and board games or tabletop games or that sort of stuff. So there's more of that, and of course we get folks who want us to do a Secrets of Babylon 5 and other shows like that. But all that depends on being able to grow the network, which this isn't a pitch for patrons, but if we increase the amount of resources we have available, we can start to maybe hire someone who can do some of that editing, and that would be a big help. And we could do more things, and that's just a fact of life. You need resources to do things. So there's some new shows. We're also looking to update our website. It hasn't been updated in a long time. We want to make it more functional and that sort of thing. A lot of people don't know the website is actually the core infrastructure for how we distribute our shows. So it's a very important part of what we do. So that's not the most exciting thing for listeners necessarily, but it's an important thing we want to do. But one of the things I'm excited by is as the U.S. comes out of lockdown and that sort of thing, we're talking again about maybe we should do another Catholic New Media celebration where we used to do. So for those who don't know, the most recent one was like 6 years ago, I think, at this point, where we used to gather together in a particular, city and bring, people from the network together, but also people from outside the network who are in Catholic media, new media. So, podcasts and that sort of stuff, and fans. And we're thinking that if we do this, we make it more of a fan listener meetup where we'd bring people together. We'd record shows live there and do other fun stuff, and perhaps even make it a part of it more like a retreat or networking sort of thing. We have some ideas. I mean, we actually had one years ago in Melbourne where Father Roderick came down.
Mm-hmm. I went to that one. Yeah, that was great. Yes.
And so we want to kind of start getting together with folks again and get a chance to do this sort of thing. We were looking at this a couple years ago, and then everything went out the window. But we want to kind of look to doing something like that again, and maybe do a few in different places. One in San Diego where Jimmy is. That would be a lot of fun. One in the central part of the U.S. One on the eastern or southern part of the U.S. And as things go, who knows what the future may hold? Maybe we will have one in other countries. Maybe that would be nice too. So that would be a future plan. Maybe a little down the road a bit, but we want to. The whole point of the network is to bring people together, and we're still an incarnational people. We are still about being present. We've learned that lesson better than ever, and so it'll be nice to be present to other people again.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. Yeah, that's great. Where do I get my ticket? Am I allowed to travel? That'd be the other thing as well.
We have to be allowed out of the country or the state first.
Or
your house.
Out of 25 kilometers as it is actually at the moment.
Actually, if you could hold on within 25 kilometers of where we are, Dom, that'd be great.
We'll work on that. I'll come.
I don't think they have got K's there. Lindsay got miles, so I don't know how the conversion is of them.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for that update, Dom, and thank you just for being a great guest. And for I know we must be close to an hour and a half now just talking about the network. But we just wanted to finish the show. First of all, Dom talked about patrons, and we do want to thank you all for supporting the network. Because of your support, the network grows. We are able to offer content that you're interested in, and to get more feedback and offer new shows into the future. Today, we would like to thank some patrons, and they are Sam F., Rachel F., Brianna M., David K., and John C. Through their generous donations at sqpn.com/give, they make it possible for the Catholics of Oz and all of the growing number of shows at StarQuest to continue. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And please, if you struggle to give, remember to pray for us as well, because that's so important in continuing the work that we do. We'd like to thank you so much for joining us for episode 59 of the Catholics of Oz. If you have any feedback on today's episode or any of our other episodes, you can do that by visiting sqpn.com/Oz, and you can find our show notes there as well. And while you're at the SQPN website, why not sign up for the newsletter at sqpn.com/about/newsletter? Or if you're a North American listener, join the StarQuest fan club mailing list by texting StarQuest to 66866. That's 66866. 66. I tell the others I love doing it that way, by the way. You can also visit SQPN's Facebook page and find out about this show and other shows at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. And don't forget our very own Catholics of Oz Facebook page as well at facebook.com/Catholics of Oz, where you can discuss our latest episodes with us there. And you can also reach us by good old email at catholicsofoz@sqpn.com. Caroline, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. It's always fun.
Yes, it is. And Lino, thanks a lot for being on the show.
It's been awesome. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. And Dom, it's been great. Hopefully we'll have you again at some point, but thank you so much for being a guest on the Catholics of Oz.
It's always great to visit Oz.
And once again, I'm Lindsay Sant, and thank you for listening to episode 59 of the Catholics of Oz on StarQuest.